If you've been considering buying a home, but have put those plans on hold due to craziness that we've been experiencing in the real estate market over the past several months, you may now be at a point of wondering, is it time to jump back into the market and buy a home now, or should you wait until 2023? Well, in this video, I want to share the latest data with you on exactly what is going on here in the Frisco and Prosper markets, as it might not be exactly what you're seeing in a lot of the reports and headlines, in order to help you make the best decision for you and your family. Hi, this is Andrew with the Andrew Smith team here in Frisco, Texas, hanging out this afternoon with my dog that's working hard, as you can see here. And it's a question that I've received a lot. I mean, I have buyers that I was working with a year ago that basically got frozen out. They wrote offer after offer after offer and were unsuccessful due to the bidding wars and the craziness that was happening in the real estate market. And now, considering how high mortgage rates have gone and what's been happening, they're wondering, well, I don't know what to do. Is now a good time? And you can probably relate to that or know someone that can. And if you're on the fence and you're not sure what to do, it's probably because you don't want to overpay for a house. And I get that. You don't want to make a bad decision. And I get that. Perfectly understandable. And I'd like to start out by saying I'm not going to try and convince you one way or the other in this video. What I do want to do is provide a little bit of perspective and share some of the latest data and some insights, as I said in the beginning, in order that you can make the best decision for you and your family. And I want to start here with a quote I just saw recently from Odetta Kushi, who's the Deputy Chief Economist for First American. And what Odetta says is, if you can find a house that meets your financial expectations for a monthly payment and it is a good time for you to buy, then do it. And if you wait for prices to fall and they never do, you may discover the hard way that the house that you found a year ago that you really loved, that you could have afforded but passed up on, is more expensive. Now, what Odetta is saying there is she isn't saying that you should absolutely, jump into the market right now just because. What she's saying is, if you find a house that meets all of your criteria and it works for you and you can afford it, buy it. If it doesn't, don't. But if you're sitting on the fence thinking that prices are going to tumble further and that you're going to get a much better deal a year from now, maybe you will, maybe you won't. So the question becomes, what do you do? How do you make this decision? And I can tell you, there is a lot of information in the media right now that's based on fear, very little fact, and most all of it is discussing national numbers and not what is happening directly here in our local market. As many of you may know, I put out a market update every single Monday for the latest information on any market. You can find a link to it directly below. And if that link will take you to the Frisco report, but don't worry, if you're looking for a different area, you can search any city or zip code in the country right from that report and sign up to have that delivered to you. But the point is you need to make the decision that's best for you and your family's situation. Yes, mortgage rates are high. Yes, that's definitely impacted buyer demand, but that's only half of the equation. And there are programs in place to offset what's gone on with mortgage rates. It is widely expected that they will come down, but we're not going to see them come down until inflation gets more under control. High inflation is the enemy of long-term mortgage rates. Now, with that, I just want to share this quote with you from Jason Luris, and he's the co-founder and chief data officer over at Parcel. And here's what he has to say. In the absence of trustworthy, up-to-date information, real estate decisions are increasingly being driven by fear, uncertainty, and doubt. These decisions can be hugely consequential for consumers and businesses. And that, in essence, is exactly what I was talking about. My role here today is to provide you with the information that's based on fact. I'm not going to spread fear. I'm not going to, plant roses where roses don't exist. the point is the markets are challenging without a doubt, but it's important to keep in mind that if you were in the market before, one of the advantages that you have right now is that there are homes for sale. You don't have bidding wars and multiple offers to deal with. You can actually negotiate with sellers. Most homes are still selling fairly close to list price, at least here in Frisco and Prosper, but prices have come down. But how much farther are they going to fall? That's the real question. And in order to help answer that, I'm going to share some of the latest data with you that just came out. Here we go. So what we're looking at here is the actual MLS. I'm in the trends section of the MLS to kind of show you exactly what's going on. And this is a 3-year look back period. So right now, the blue line represents Frisco and the red line represents Prosper. And this is where the median, this is looking at the median sales price. And I know there's a lot of people thinking that prices are going to continue to tumble and come down quite a bit. Well, in Frisco, the market actually peaked in April. So the prices have come down since April. They peaked in May in Prosper. And as you can see, following this graph out, from that time frame, prices fell all the way into August. But since August, we've actually held fairly stable. Prices in Frisco ticked up a little bit in September, and they're flat again now. And in Prosper, they've been holding steady. So pricing currently here is holding steady. Even though prices are down from their peak, as of right now, they're still up 12.5% year over year in Frisco and 21.5% year over year in Prosper. And according to the latest surveys from Wallet Investor and Zillow on their market forecast, prices in Frisco and Prosper for 2023 are still expected to climb. Now, how much they climb is anyone's guess. I don't see prices going to where we're in negative year over year price trend growth, at least based on the data that we have right now. But I could see pricing going fairly flat. Most of the reports that I have seen are showing that pricing is going to hold at between 1.5% and 4% appreciation in 2023. We will have to wait and see. Now, what impact has mortgage rates had? Well, they've had a big impact. What we did is the minute we saw mortgage rates jump, we saw buyer activity fall off. And what we can see with regards to that is here on the pending sales. Again, I know this is just a bunch of lines here, but you can see since April, the number of homes going under contract in Frisco has fallen quite substantially. In Prosper, it's held steady a little bit more, but Prosper's not quite as big. There aren't as many homes for sale. But again, as you go all the way back into 2019, you can see that towards the end of every year, sales activity declines. That's completely normal. So what we're seeing right here, this is the demand side of the equation. In order for us to see a big change in home prices, we need to see something change between supply and demand, as that's ultimately what controls prices. So as of right now, demand in Frisco has been falling. Demand in Prosper is holding fairly steady. But again, it hasn't tanked to the point that would be unexpected for the time of year that we are in. Now, when we look at homes for sale, here's the supply side of the equation. And you can see here that, again, since August in both Frisco and Prosper, supply has held fairly steady. It's not increasing, it's not decreasing, it's just fairly steady. Now, although here in Frisco, supply is up 147% year over year and 282% year over year in Prosper, supply was really, really low last year. If we go back to the last normal year we had, which was 2019, and go back to October then, you can see in Frisco, we had 1,026 homes for sale as opposed to the 550 we have now. So again, you've got inventory still down nearly 100% over where we were just 3 years ago. So with that in mind, supply is holding fairly constant right now. Demand is being impacted absolutely by mortgage rates. So That will probably still have some downward pressure on pricing through the end of this year. Where that goes from there, we will just have to wait and see. January will be key. If we start to see an uptick in pricing in January, which we normally do, that tells us that we should see a more normal pattern emerge in 2023. Now, obviously, there's a lot of assumptions being made there. What's the overall economy going to do? Are we going to head into a prolonged recession? How severe will that recession be? All of that is going to play into it. But I can tell you, if you have the ability, some of the options you've got right now, besides the resale market, is in new construction. And the builders are being very, very aggressive. I can tell you, I've spoken and seen reports from many of the local home builders. Their pace of sales, although it's slowed, they're still on track for many of them where they were last year. Sales are still happening and they're still fairly brisk. And the new home builders have been trying to get out in front of the curve, and they're attacking it from the financing side by offering some substantial incentives on mortgage rate buy downs. So there's new home builders right there now that are actually offering programs where you can go in and buy a home and still get a 30-year fixed rate mortgage at 4.99% or 5.25%. It varies a little bit from builder to builder. So again, I share this information today not to convince you one way or the other, but just to kind of say it's not as doom and gloom or falling off a cliff as many of the headlines in the news reports indicates. You know, Frisco itself was recently named one of the most recession-resistant cities in the entire country. And when you look at the growth, when you look at the inbound migration, and you look at the number of companies moving in, it's starting to appear more and more and more as though we're just heading back into a normal real estate market. That's what we're seeing. You know, it takes about 6 months worth of supply for a market to be considered balanced. And we're running right at around 2.5 months worth of supply of homes in both Frisco and Prosper. So again, hope this information helps. If you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm always happy to talk to you and answer those questions. There's a link to my calendar directly below in the description. You can feel free to schedule a call with me. Or as always, you can reach me at 469-296-5230 or send an email to andrew@theandrewsmithteam.com.